to join us on this Twitter space. That's a song called Corruption from the legendary Thomas Mapfumo. As we started, it is important to note that this song was sang so many years ago when Thomas Mapfumo was still in Zimbabwe. There was already corruption, and as we can hear from his words, it has always been for ZANU-PF. Remember, it was the ruling party. It has always been something for something, and it has been corruption. We have got different terms that have been used to describe corruption. One of the terms that was used in the documentary is appreciation. Appreciation is just like something for something, as Thomas Mapfumo was saying. Besides that, we also heard that the term commission can actually mean that a bribe, something like that, which is also corruption, and a lot of other terms that were being used. We have also been led to understand that there are various nicknames, monikers that are used to describe the people involved in corruption. Words or names like Mr. Jones, words like number one, words like ED, words like the king. All these words were being used to refer to some people who are involved in corruption. This is one of the things that we have noted today. No other episode of Gold Mafia, unless there is going to be new production, is coming. Meaning that we've reached episode 4, and it is now time for action, time to do something about what is happening. And here we all heard who the Gold King is, and it is common consensus that they no longer have anything to do in office. The Gold King has nothing to do anymore with holding political office. They are looting the country dry. We heard of sons that are stealing Rolex watches, and these Rolex watches are going unnoticed, which is something quite tragic when we have got so many people who are suffering in the country. Others have got Rolex that they don't even know exist anymore. So I want to thank you, everyone who has come to listen to this space, and also to contribute to this space. So the core is very simple. The Gold King, who has been identified as Emerson Mnangagwa, must resign. Not only him, but him and the entire system of ZANU-PF. These people must go. We don't need them anymore, because each day that passes is a day our country gets poorer. So as we are speaking, the Gold Mafia are actually doing their activities. Remember, we've got many minerals, gold included, and each day they're in office, our country is poorer. If they go after 5 months, it means 5 months of looting. If they go after 5 years, 5 months, it means 5 years, 5 months of looting. So we can't allow this as Zimbabweans. We have to take action. We have to do something to hold these people to account. We have been tracing all the conversations that have been happening, both online and offline via various social media platforms. including some press conferences that were held by people who were claiming that the gold mafia's activities was part of a wider national intelligence operation, and everything that was happening was not real. Everything that you saw, some quarters are claiming that that was the drama, like a movie, and it wasn't real. This is the take of some of the people. They are saying this was an intelligence operation. So everything you saw is not real. Everyone you had was a decoy. Everything that you believe is real is actually very, very, very unreal. I think this is a way of playing with our minds, and it is a way of trying to get a lifeline in their jobs. If I can say that, it is a way of trying to clear the names of the first thieves who are residing in the corridors of power. We have seen a lot of concerning things. We have seen things like someone who is controlling everything in the name of being the first lady, according to the people who were speaking in the documentary, that no, this one controls everything. And to doubt it is very difficult when we understand that we have seen these people in Belarus with their families trying to do some deals, where you have, when you see two flags from two countries and two groups from two countries, that's no longer a holiday visit. This is now official business. According to diplomatic protocol, when you see that setup, you cannot have such a setup as a private individual, where you have the flag of one country, a flag of the next country. You can't assume that that is either a family business or something like that. That's in the diplomatic world, you can actually notice that something was really amiss. So if someone says this person controls everything, then it might actually be true that they control everything. The relationship didn't start there. In 2021, we saw one ambassador at large donating 7 tons of maize to a charity that is run by the first lady, who is alleged to be controlling everything. And now we hear that tons and tons of gold are actually leaving the country, which is something which is really quite sad. So what is our call? ZANU-PF must go. The entire group must actually leave the corridors of power and make sure that we have got better leadership, God-fearing leadership, and the people of Zimbabwe have a say in the deployment of the natural resources that we have. The country which was visited by the First Lady recently, we saw groups, independent groups like Team Pachedu come to say they have been given 55,000 hectares of land. It's unfortunate that Manicaland has suffered so much among all the other provinces. If you look at Diamond was looted. It was from Chiazwa, which was in Manicaland. If you look at this land that has been parceled out to the Belarus company, it is also in Manicaland, covering the areas where there is also diamond and other minerals, parts of Buera South constituency in Nyanyads there. There are a lot of things that are there, areas close to Bechinaf Bridge, if you have checked the map. So a lot is happening, and the land is really suffering under these people. For those who don't understand how gold works, so generally from the research I had, there are 3 or 4 stages of buying gold. The first thing is we have got the makorokozas who actually go and mine. Then after the makorokozas, we have got people who buy like 1 ounce, 1 gram until they have something. So then we've got people who buy in kgs. And then there are people, they take those like almost a kg or something, got Fidelity. Then there are people who get the kgs from Fidelity and they sell them outside of the country. So it's various stages of buying the gold. And this is happening as we are speaking. As long as you know that there's still a Mkorokoza somewhere, remember that there's someone high up who is fueling that illicit gold deal. So as we speak right now, there's someone somewhere in a pit or in a mining shaft who is actually getting some gold, trying to survive, who is also being looted by these guys. Hence, the gold king must actually resign together with his entire gang, his entire political party, which, if we put it rightly, they are not even a political party anymore. They are political mafia who have got interest to protect. My sister on Change Radio, how are you today?
Hello, I am well. Thank you so much. And good evening to all of our audience. Thank you so much for coming to this very important topic that we're discussing today. That CC Diaspora really wanted to put out there for all of us to engage with. But I think before, I will come back later on and share more. But I just wanted to take us one step back to why we are in this situation today. What has got us to where we are, where we have a clique, a very small clique of elites, political elites, who have captured the nation of Zimbabwe. Every state institution has been captured. There is nowhere that you can go and hope to find impartiality. It just doesn't exist in that country. Everybody, somebody, someone is afraid of someone higher up because people are reporting to someone and to someone and to someone higher up. It's a mafia. We must not even underplay this gold mafia. It's been a mafia from time immemorial. And for 43 years, we have been under the rulership of a mafia. And you know what the mafia does? If you've ever watched any mafia movies, they kill. And so this regime are the barriers blocking Zimbabwe's progress. And so that is ZANU-PF, as the host just mentioned. And then you have Mnangagwa himself. Remember, Mnangagwa is the very same gentleman that in the 80s led the massacre of 20,000 innocent Zimbabweans. So he's a big player in everything that is happening in our country. And then we have the military. The military from which he came, from which Chiwenga came, from which they all came. So they created this mafia right from when they were in Mozambique. Because if we follow that history again of who survived after Mozambique, it's another story. It's a whole big story on its own of who survived from Mozambique, because they took out people that were genuine Democrats. It's so sad. And so the nature of ZANU-PF is that their belief is that they are entitled to rule indefinitely. Indefinitely. They will not relinquish power easily. Their refusal to view itself as an ordinary political party, that should not have that privilege of ruling indefinitely. They don't get it. Hence why they sell us the mantra over and over and over again that they went to war. They forget what happened around that war, that actually they sat down in a London room and they were handed over that power. In that, many of us, in some ways, contributed to the freedom of Zimbabwe. It might not have been us, but our fathers, our parents, and all of those people that went to fight that war. They are all contributors to where we are today, to this, what we call independence, but they've never benefited anything, and we are not benefiting anything either. And we will not benefit anything if we don't rise up. The answer lies squarely with us. And I know that, people argue that there's nothing we can do because of the army, but we have an opportunity. Register to vote in our millions, and we will take them out through the ballot box, because they cannot cheat in every polling station. They will find it very difficult to do. The other thing they do is conflating of party and state, and the demonization of other parties as enemies of liberation. The demonization that we see every day, and the seeking to restore colonialism or white minority rule. So there is something there about white minority rule that, we may have forgotten about. But if we look at who surrounds the Gold King, who is surrounding him right now, who is flying into Dubai 20 times in 4 weeks. So, if you looked at some of the clips, there were families, fathers and sons. Those fathers and sons are not black fathers and sons. They are white fathers and sons. So that white minority rule is already in play in our country. But the way it's playing out is that they have the economic power. They are wealthy, and whilst they have that economic power, it's not being utilized in Zimbabwe to build anything. It's being siphoned outside. It's saved everywhere else other than Zimbabwe, other than developing our country. So to some extent, there is some restoration there of colonialism. And this is open to debate. But I am, through the gold mafia revelations, it's just opening our eyes bit by bit. It's like our eyes are being peeled to see exactly the humongousness of the challenge that we face in our country, and that we have a lot of work to do. So it's not about us just coming to the spaces, but it's about deep diving into all of those individuals that were identified and finding out how we can get them investigated in their respective countries, how we can find their banking accounts. So who are their bankers? Where do they bank? What have they invested? With whom have they invested? Where does it all lie? So this is not a one-day job or an 18th April, with the protest that we are doing, which I'll talk about later on. It's not an 18th April job or a 19th April or a 20th and 21st April job. I think this is a job for a very long time, and we need to get started. We need to collaborate as citizens. If ever there was a time that we collaborate, this is it. This is the time for us to really get our heads together, get into those Zoom meetings and hold each other accountable, to ask each other, what are you doing in America? What are you doing in Canada? What are you doing in Australia? What are you doing in Germany? What are you doing in Switzerland, in Sweden, in Czech Republic, in South Africa, in Zambia, all over the globe? This is it. This is the time. Because if we missed this time, we would have missed a great opportunity. And some people might think, no, don't talk about Mnangagwa resigning, because if he resigns, it means that there is no opportunity for the opposition. There is an opportunity for the opposition, because Mnangagwa is the key. So those three areas I talked about, that ZANU-PF as a party, with Mnangagwa presiding over it in his own right, he is the godfather of the mafia. And then we have the military, who are aiding and abetting, because the senior leadership within the military are benefiting and they are friends. A few days ago, I was talking to someone, they were telling me that Chiwenga's son is in this country. I'm thinking we need to find out how do we do it? If there are any CIOs in this space, tell us if you live in the UK, because your relatives are also suffering. This is the thing. When we suffer back home, it's just not the opposition, because people make an assumption that maybe the people that are anti-ZANU PF are the only ones suffering. It's all of us. If you go to Zimbabwe and you see how our uniformed forces suffer, you'd wonder why they go around beating people. After they've finished beating us up, they go looking for public transport. They are standing on the same road that I'm standing on, and then they are waving down a car. And then we who drive give them lifts. Can you imagine that? And I know we've talked about it at length, and it's still happening. It's heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking. Sometimes it feels so huge that, it becomes a task that is insurmountable, but it's not. We start small. We start with what we have today around this gold mafia. We task governments where all of this has been happening. We hold them accountable, because some of them will look up. If this was happening in UK, if this gold was being sold here, something would have happened right now as we speak. But we do know that the UK is harboring some people that have been identified. But I'll talk more about some of the actions later on. Back to you, host. I know I've talked a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. These are unprecedented times, and it is only natural for us to express our anger and our dissatisfaction and our call for the Gold King and his entire system to resign and pave way for new leaders. We need new leaders. I've had various conversations going on online, and some were saying if we actually have the Gold King resigning, it means giving ZANU-PF a new lifeline. When we are talking about the Gold King, we are talking about the Gold King and his entire kingdom having to resign. We are here for a discussion. So I kindly ask all of you to really request the mic and come here and share your sentiments and put your voice in this, so that at least we can have a way forward. These people have to resign. Like I said, any day these guys are in office is a day where we are enabling looting. These guys have nothing to do in power anymore. We are going to go to Sister Beauty, to Triple CNAP, to then engage in a conversation. And we ask all of you, come and express the moments throughout all the 4 episodes that you feel like things didn't go well, where you feel like this is really bad. Let's talk about the moments. I'm going to come and share another experience again after our speakers have spoken with this gold mafia. So let's go to Sister Beauty, then Triple CNAP in that order. Thank you.
Thank you, Sissy Diaspora. Thank you, Change Radio. Thank you, guys. I know you guys do a lot for all of us. So I do appreciate every time that you guys open a space, because I know you're just adding on to all the other work that you guys do. Thank you. Well, Hansi, never interrupt your enemy when they are making a mistake. Let them finish the mistake so that you can really take advantage of the mistake. So when we say resign, are we not just interrupting our enemy when they're making a mistake? Are we not rather better off letting them go through their mistake and then impounding on it at the crucial moment? Like right now, what would be the essence of us saying, step down right now, ED? Because the elections are around the corner. Do we want a new candidate to be put for us to then fight them, because we know that ZANU-PF is very good at reinventing itself and coming up with tactics that allow them to retain power. I think it is a clear indication that right now, everyone in ZANU-PF is anti-ED right now. Most people are, except Varukudjika Nai. Vasiri kudya vese vada kuti Idi aendi. Vasiri kudya vese, we even heard from Liswa, achitaura kuti masiya iwo ari kutotaura zvokuti moms ndo akabata chimuti ende havasi kufara namoms. So, and that has been echoed even in that documentary when Hubert Angel says the moms controls everything. So the question becomes, Kuti, do we interrupt them now? Or do we let them finish the mistake via Pacheshwa? Or do we help the factionalism in ZANU-PF? Or do we stand aloof from the factionalism in ZANU-PF and stand with the people of Zimbabwe and say, let them sort out their own mistakes on their own for once and for all without our involvement? Let them come up with their own candidate for their own party that we can stand against, rather than us interrupting our enemy while they're still making the mistake. The mistake they are making is a repetition of what happened just before Grace Mugabe and Mugabe were toppled on the 15th of November. Are we therefore going to repeat ourselves again and be complicit and participate in whatever they come up with? Or are we going to stand, watch, and then react according to the constitutional mandates that stand in the nation? Those are the questions we really need to ponder on. This Gold Mafia documentary is very good. It was, in my opinion, a bit edited to some extent, but it was also good in showcasing what's going on behind the scenes that we would never have known and would never have understood to the same extent as we now understand it. So we do thank Al Jazeera, we thank all the researchers, we thank all the people who participated in giving us that information, because it was really crucial information to be given to the public. We really do thank them. But again, my parting shot for now is just to say, is it okay for us to interrupt an enemy while they're making the mistake, or shall we wait for them to complete making the mistake so we can fully, once and for all, take advantage of that mistake and win glory for everyone? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Beauty, for that important question. That's why we brought this topic, fully knowing that we all have different persuasions when it comes to the topic. This is the reason for for tonight's discussion. Let's discuss this. Should we give ED 5 months to loot with these guys, 5 months to plan on how to overturn the will of the people, 5 months to really, if he's hiding his wealth somewhere, 5 months to hide the wealth, or 5 months to plan his getaway, or should these people go now? That's the question. Let's answer this as the audience. I am personally going to give my own opinion after we have had a discussion for some time. So that question won't be forgotten. I am also going to weigh in on that question. So let's start with Mambo Shoshe. Mambo Shoshe, what's your take? Should we give them time? Should they resign now? Should we interrupt them when they are making a mistake? Over to you, Mambo Shoshe.
Sorry, you can go to Dr. Ranga to CCNet for now. I'll come after him.
So CCNAP unfortunately has dropped. So let's go to Denford. Denford, what's your take? It's a discussion. There's no right, there's no wrong answer. Let's say what we think. Then we'll take it from there. Over to you, Denford.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aziko, and thank you as well to the Change Radio, Sister Patricia, and everybody who is here with us. it is something that every Zimbabwean, despite our political affiliations, deplorable to have a situation in which we have realized, and I'm happy that Sister Beauty has just said that the whole episodes seemingly look like they have been heavily edited, meaning to say we could have seen so much that came out of the Gold Mafia expose. But as the topic says, the Gold King must resign immediately. Whichever way that people would want to take it, I would want to believe that what Zimbabweans need right now is for ZANU-PF to be away from the way of Zimbabwe, so that Zimbabwe starts to rebuild again. Remember, the destruction of Zimbabwe actually started from the inception of independence. Some people might not want to agree with me. This issue of looting, and unfortunately it is not only about the looting of gold and broadly our natural resources that Zimbabwe is so rich of. There are a lot of corrupt practices that we have just realized since the inception of independence, as I said. So the thing is, what has to be done by the Zimbabweans? I was listening to some other people who were speaking in previous spaces when they were saying that Zimbabwe suffered so much, and our destiny is within our hands. It is us who can only emancipate ourselves. It is us who can only take ourselves from all these problems that we are facing from ZANU-PF. We, in as much as we would want to have people from outside that can come and help us, but the sole responsibility is ourselves. The reason why I'm mainly talking about Zimbabweans being the center stage of the taking away from our country of ZANU-PF is because we have got precedents. A lot has happened in the past years, and all is now history. And we risk having this Gold Mafia expose to be part of history, to be counted again. So what have we to do? I'm happy that as much as the ZANU-PF government has put in place stringent measures in the form of these laws that would prohibit people from within Zimbabwe and even outside to actually do their constitutionally provided provisions, but people like on the 18th of April, we have got such a very massive demonstration that is going to be done in the United Kingdom. This should be the starting point. And let's not have a situation in which next month or so we are going to be saying Zimbabwe, we once experienced this thing. So there are a number of things that Zimbabweans should do, in particular something to do. And this is going to be putting pressure for the king, the Gold King, to actually step aside. Whether he steps aside, whether we wait for the elections to come, but in the meantime, let's do what is constitutionally provided for us to make sure that they go. Before landing, let me quickly say that when I was looking at this issue of the last episode of this Gold Mafia expose, there are a number of people who have got their thoughts in as far as the late President Robert Mugabe and his wife Grace Mugabe, when they make a comparison between him and the current regime. In yes, we know we have suffered so much between 2017 and now. There are some people who have got a belief that Mugabe was a little bit better and something like that. In Pambiri Pangu, the thing is, ZANU-PF from the word go, it has been so corrupt, and it still, if we let it stay in power, it will still remain to be corrupt. Tanzania kuti Grace Mugabe akanga achienda ku Diamond nendege yake achibudisa achiendesa ku Dubai achitora ivory achiendesa macargo achienda Dubai huko. What more would you want to do? So from Grace Mugabe to Mugabe himself, ED, nemudzimai wake, and my ministers wake vanampofa, these people are corrupt, and everyone within ZANU-PF should just go, and then we start again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother, and I'm really worried about the future of your children and yourself, because the map that Pachedu produced actually shows me that your home in Buera South was swallowed as part of the land that was sold to the Belarusian company. So Denford, it's unfortunate. Go and look at the map, and you will see what I'm telling you, that your area in Buera South there was actually taken by the Belarus. And remember, who was in Belarus? It was the First Lady. So we might be talking here on the spaces, but actually Denford is one of the speakers who are here, a person from Manicaland, a person from Buera South. Part of the area, when I was looking at the map, was actually swallowed. So it is possible that when Denford leaves the diaspora and goes home, you might actually be told that you and your ancestral graves actually have to be moved, because now this land belongs to Belarus. I'm really worried about the future of your children, Denford. But let's continue. Mambo Shoshe, are you now ready to speak?
Thank you, Dr. Ziko. Thank you, my sister Patricia. And thank you, everyone who is here. We appreciate you. Dr. Ziko, I'm angry, very angry. And I hope by having these spaces, these discussions, we'll make each other angry. And not just angry on the spaces on social media platforms, but angry to the extent that we'll begin to take action. I appreciate the action that is being taken right now, the demonstrations that are being done, and the education that is going on, people talking about it. I think it spreads the information that we want out there. But I'm more angry by the people that come to the spaces that are out there, especially those that call themselves neutrals, and the educated, the elite in Zimbabwe, who are still trying to make us believe that Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF and the senior leadership in ZANU-PF are blameless in all this. There are technical people who dwell on technicalities. My doctor, Imimana, Dr. Ziko, and other people, you come here and you try to tell us that the laws and the technicalities around this issue will not allow Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF and other officials to be, arrested. Honestly, personally, I don't care about that. I don't care about those technicalities. I have already said, in many spaces that I'm not a professional, I'm not a fundi, I'm a professional stone thrower, I am an activist. So right now, I'm just angry that the people that are trying to defend Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF right now. As an activist, I go with the court of public opinion. The court of public opinion has already found Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF guilty. They are guilty. Just say what? Give me 5 minutes to. The court of public opinion has already found ZANU-PF and Emmerson Mnangagwa guilty, and that's what we should go with. The voter in Uzumba Maramba Pungwe in Wedza doesn't care about those technicalities that we are talking about. The voter in the rural areas cares about whether his child is going to school, whether he has food on the table. And that is really what we should focus on, telling the people that all the money, all the wealth that Zimbabwe has is going out of the country, and it's making other nationalities rich. It's making other nations rich. Right now, when I look at Dubai, the beauty of Dubai, I know that for sure now with what we have seen in Al Jazeera, that 10% of our wealth, 10% of our money has built Dubai to be where it is right now. And if you look at the amount of money that we are losing, the wealth that we are losing every week, we are losing $100 million a week, which comes to around $400 million a month. And it runs into billions in a year. So we are literally losing $5 billion in 1 year in just gold. But we have other minerals, we have other wealth, we have diamonds, we have a lot of other minerals that we can't even account for, that we don't even know how the money is being appropriated. And really, all that should make every Zimbabwean angry, and it should be across the political divide, because this money, the wealth that is being destroyed, that is ending up in the hands of a few individuals, in the hands of the Mnangagwas, in the hands of a few nationals outside Zimbabwe. It belongs to all of us. And when we suffer, we all suffer. It doesn't say that it's only CCC members or people that support President Chamisa who are suffering. We all suffer as Zimbabweans. So it pains me to see, other Zimbabwean nationalities, that they are ZANU-PF, and the fact that they are ZANU-PF, they defend the indefendable. They defend something that should not be defended. We are educated people. We are in these countries where there are democracies, where everything is transparent. We should by now be able to tell, to say, a spade is a spade. If someone has done wrong, he has done wrong. Whether you are a ZANU-PF person or whether you're a CCC person, if there is a wrong that is being done in CCC, say it as it is. If there is a wrong that has been done in ZANU-PF, we should all stand up and say, this is wrong. Even our members of parliament, I'm surprised. It's only Themba Mliswa who is coming out and condemning what is happening. We should be seeing, an across the board condemnation of what is going on in Zimbabwe. But of course, maybe we need to do more in talking, in educating people, in disseminating information so that people understand how much we are losing and what it means to an ordinary Zimbabwean. Maybe if we just talk about the billions of dollars that we are talking about, people will not understand. They will not put it into perspective. Let's find a way of breaking down everything, and we put it down to the people that you are failing to put food on your table. Murikushaya mushonga wekuenda kunodhibhisa mombe dzenyu nekuti mari yacho yaenda uko. Murikufamba mumugwagwa yakadai nekuti mari yacho yatorwa nevana vaMnangagwa, yatorwa navaMnangagwa. And we put it out there. So we need to see, more activities, more action, more ideas, being generated at these discussions. And when we have generated those ideas, let's put them into action. Let's not come here and discuss. Brilliant ideas come in these spaces, and then we don't take action. If we say we want to educate the people in the rural areas, what are we doing about it? Are we making flyers? Are we making posters? Are we putting adverts in independent newspapers? Are we using Change Radio so that it goes out there and spread the word? Let's make sure that we put action into our anger. We put action into our words, and really that's the direction we should be taking. Otherwise, we are going towards a situation where, if we leave Emmerson Mnangagwa right now, I'm getting closer to answering your question. If we leave Emmerson Mnangagwa and his family doing what they are doing, these people are going to become so powerful. Because the money that they are stealing, it makes them rich. Anyone who has money, he has power, they can dictate, they can do anything, they can buy, anyone, becomes, a target. Anyone can be bought. If people have money, they have power. And these people are, Emmerson Mnangagwa as it is, he's not just a billionaire. He's not worth 2 billion. He's not worth 3 billion. He's not worth 5 billion. According to estimates, Emmerson Mnangagwa is now worth over $10 billion. He's now one of the, not one of the richest. He's now the richest person in Zimbabwe. Masiwa is worth just $2 billion. And he worked for his money. For how many years? This is a man who has never worked, who has always had a government job. But he is now owning half of Zimbabwe. and is worth billions. And guess who is going to be the next multi-millionaire? It's Tongai Mnangagwa. It's the twins. It's his wife, because all the money, half the money that is coming out of these diamonds, out of these gold sales, it's going to the family. It's going to Emmerson Mnangagwa. And if we allow them another 5 years, then we are in trouble. Should we take them out now? If we could, definitely with the anger that I have right now, if we could take out Emmerson Mnangagwa and his family and his government, because this time kana tichiti Emmerson Mnangagwa must go. Anofana kutoenda nevana vake nechi nembwa dzake nekatsi dzake vanofana kutoenda zvakatodaro. We are not making another mistake that we made with Mugabe, that we just said Mugabe must go, Mugabe must go. This time it must be Emmerson Mnangagwa and his system. We have to uproot the whole system, and they all have to go. Do they have to go right now before the elections? I agree with Beauty. If we are not careful, ZANU-PF will come in, take advantage of the situation. They remove Emmerson Mnangagwa, they put in someone else, and we are now dealing with someone, that we do not know. We can push, of course, until we get to the elections, and we make sure that in these 5 months, we do what we need to do. We get the information. Kumaruzeva kwacho kwavari kutaura kuti vanhu vekumaruzeva havazive nezve Al Jazeera, havazive nezve documentary irori. We make sure that we get the information out there. Isusu vacho pano, we take it upon ourselves to educate our friends and family. Let's post in our friends and families groups. Izvo zvino manototya kutoposta documentary irori kugroup ravo rekufamily, because kune vanhu vezana. It shouldn't be like that. We don't have control of the radio stations. We don't have control of the TV stations. Neither do we have control of the print media. So we have to use what we have. What we have is Change Radio, social media, and our family groups and our community groups. Let's make use of them. Let's educate the people. Let's make sure that every voter in Zimbabwe knows why they are suffering. And that's a job for you and me. And let's begin to do that. But of course, everyone who is here, let's make sure we attend the demos that are out there. And again, it's high time that we don't do demos to just go and dance, totamba kongonya, totamba mjiba, tiripo ipapo, and then we put pictures out there. They have to be demos with a meaning. We have to come up with the petitions. Thank you, our comrades in UK, for coming up with those powerful petitions. Let's make sure those petitions are delivered to all the places that matter, to all the people that matter. They always say, we are overstating our problems and we don't have evidence. Now we have the evidence. Let's go to those groups. Let's go to those organizations and give it to them. This is what is happening. These are the people that you are whining and dining with. This is the Emmerson Mnangagwa that you have in the United Nations. This is the Emmerson Mnangagwa that you are inviting to the king's inauguration. And, let's tell them that this is the man who has destroyed Zimbabwe. It's not sanctions, it's corruption, outright corruption. Thank you so much. I can go on and on, but guys, let's take action. Let's not just let our anger, have our anger here on social media, and then after that we take 1 beer or 2 beers, and then we forget about it. Let's act. Let's make sure that in the coming elections, unfortunately, we may not have the election, but we don't want to talk about that. That's not the subject of today. But let's make sure that we, in the next 5 months, we work hard. All of us do something, find a way of doing something. We are not taking the eyes off the ball. Yes, there's the issue of the Al Jazeera, but there's still voter registration that is going on. Let's make sure that we are doing that. We're encouraging each other to go and vote. We are starting a program right now where we are going to say those who want to go and be in the red areas and be election monitors there. If you're in the diaspora, you go there and you volunteer, you become part of it. We want as many people as possible. There are still fundraisers that are going on. Let's support those fundraisers so that we have something. And then we forget other important things. Hanzi, ziso pamuroi, ziso pane chinhu chese chinoita kuti muroi aende. Thank you, Dr. Ziko. Thank you, Change Radio.
Thank you, Mambo Soshe. Indeed, we have to get in touch, my sister, on Change Radio. We need to start having the electronic flyers and flyers that can actually be sent out there to the raw areas, to WhatsApp groups, outlining what ZANU-PF, as Gold King, has done to the country and the reason why he shouldn't be voted for. So even if we even have to put it in vernacular, kuti vakuru venyika vanoti vakuru venyika ove nevayo vozikanwa pasi rose nenyaya yekuba goridhe, tichienda takadaro, something like that, where we have to mention it in vernacular, because these people are being told that it was an intelligence operation. We know the people in the raw areas, the people in Zimbabwe, they are so much afraid of the CIA, or they are so much afraid of this intelligence system. So if they are going to be told on ZBC in all radios that this is the work of our intelligence, we're doing investigations of people in Dubai, and we're playing along. People who are playing along, they play along in Shona, and they want a Chinese person, Mr. Stanley, to understand. There's no playing along like which acts like that. If you are trying to convince people, speaking in vernacular, it means you don't want the foreigners to understand. But this is the dummy that they are going to be sold, and we need to make sure that we have information that counters that dummy. But we have got speakers here. Beauty, I hope you are getting your answers bit by bit. What does it mean for the Gold King to resign? Are we throwing stones in our own path if we prevent them from continuing? Let's go to Francis. Then we go to Vuma. Then after that, we come to Comfort, Dr. Tatenda, then MKC. So Francis, go ahead in 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you guys can hear me. All protocol observed. You know, I've been following the Gold Mafia story for a while, and you know, I'm so touched, and I've been looking at how can we really litigate this whole scenario using Zimbabwe law on how we can set up committees, portfolio committees, as they call them, and how we can actually build up to this thing using the law and not using maybe demonstrations as a form of a retaliation. So if you look at the portfolio committees that are there in government as we speak right now, we've got a budget, finance and economic development committee. We've got a defense and home affairs and security services, and we've got mines and mining development, of which, in my opinion, this is really what is happening at the Gold Mafia story or scandal, as we can put it. So I feel we have to take the legal route and make sure that our institutions work in a way that is going to get us with all the culprits, as Maduku has been doing with Hubert Angel. So we need something that we can work with to have a certain type of structure that we ask questions that are relevant, and we do the processes according to the Constitution. I think we have been neglecting this role that the Constitution has in terms of us really dealing with the implications of that Gold Mafia documentary. So just as a basic or as a base that I think it should be dealt with, I feel Zimbabwe right now needs a a national transitional authority. I think as a caretaker government put in place in absence of a legitimate governing authority, of which we have breached that section as Zimbabweans, where there's been abuse of power by the people who are so-called elected into our system. I believe we have to overhaul the whole system of ZANU-PF and make our institutions stronger so we can deal with this issue effectively. We need EZEC, we need ECID, we need Police Zimbabwe to come on board. We also need military intelligence to come inside and deal with these issues that are affecting our country. We cannot be saying, okay, we can go for demonstrations if we want, but I think we have to go also with the legal route where even if our systems are captured, we overhaul that system for a number of years. I think that is the trajectory that I would like us to take just as a form of litigation. I want to just thank you. That's my observation. I don't know, maybe some people can pick on it. I've been looking at it a bit, and maybe we can discuss further on that line of thought. I don't know what you think. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Francis, for that. Let's take the legal route. Should we take the legal route?
Thank you. I think it's my opportunity.
Yes.
Is it me who is supposed to talk now?
Yes, Vuma. You can go ahead. Okay, Vuma is not hearing me. Host, can you try to speak to Vuma?
Hello, I just want to confirm, am I the one who is supposed to be speaking now? Is it my turn to speak?
Yes,
I just want your confirmation, then I will pick it.
Yes, you are. If you can hear me, I don't think that host is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah, thank you. I myself, after watching the Al Jazeera documentary and the recent developments that is happening in Zimbabwe, touching on the incarceration of Job Scala, I just want to give my perception of the whole setup. To be honest with you, I'm a person who feels defeated. I'm a bit worried about where are we going as a generation? Where are we going as Zimbabweans? The reason why I'm saying I feel defeated is because if I look at the history, let's talk about the Chimurengas that happened there, how our forefathers had to fight against the whites. Even when the odds were against them, they had to fight with spears. Then we come to the next generation, they had to go to Mozambique when things were tough and they had to fight. The reason why I am bringing this version that I feel defeated is because I feel that I've not done much or more that could help the cause of Zimbabweans. As an individual myself, I'm out of Zimbabwe. I left Zimbabwe, but the matters developing in Zimbabwe, or things like Al Jazeera, they get to the bottom of my soul, and I get worried that as a nation, when are we going to say enough is enough? When are we going to draw the line and say, guys, for now, no more much talking, we need action? For your own information, the case of Job Scala is one of the issues that is that shows the flagrant abuse of Zimbabweans by the current regime, whereby a person can go to jail, getting incarcerated for 300 days, no trial. If a person wants to ask what are the reasons for denying bail, they just come with frivolous explanations. So we have a voice or a fighting spirit that is incarcerated in Zimbabwe. But what are we doing as a nation? Life goes on. Now comes the Al Jazeera thing. We get angry. We speak on top of our voices. We threat. We give war. We emphasize that we are going to tow Mnangagwa away and so forth and so forth. But are we putting enough on the cause? That's my question. Because, look, we may say we want Mnangagwa. I've heard the question here, like, guys, let's demand Mnangagwa to go. Yes, that's an important banter. Mnangagwa was supposed to have gone. In fact, Mnangagwa was not supposed to be our president. If I understand his history and where we are as a country, he was not supposed to be our president. So this question of asking, should we talk about him leaving? That guy is at the wrong place. There are some people who get to certain heights and you ask how you got there. This is a typical case whereby we have to ask ourselves, how did we wake up with this kind of president? Because even during the time when ZANU-PF were fighting each other, there's this guy called Mafia who warned us that this Mnangagwa guy is a Mkorokos. I think that information is on social media when that guy was saying, what kind of a VP who engages in Kukorokosa God? So does this Al Jazeera thing shocks us? This whole Al Jazeera thing, and I liked one person who said that thing is wholly edited. That's true. That document is wholly edited. In fact, we were supposed to get to the bottom of the story and have these people exposed. For instance, I was trying to listen to that part whereby Hubert Angel was chatting with the president's wife. The conversation was distorted. But now, just to wrap up, as I said, and as I started that, as a Zimbabwean or as an able-bodied man, I feel defeated because I feel I've not given enough to my country. I feel that I've not taken the route that the yesteryear Tsvangirai's did. Because we had men like Tsvangirai. We had to stand up against the oppressing government of Mugabe until a time when Mugabe decided to sit on the same table with Tsvangirai. I feel those men are now missing. I need to be honest with you. We may say whatever we say, like, guys, let's do 1, 2, 3. But the problem that we have seen as Zimbabweans, we are good at analyzing the situation. We are good at giving solutions. But our, tangible effort is hollow, or our tangible effort is nothing, or it does not bear any results. And it comes, for me, I have to question, like, where is that spirit that we used to have whereby we respected Zimbabwe? Where is that spirit that when the national anthem of Zimbabwe was being sang would cry? I can go all over and give you a lot of examples, like how the Ukrainians have stood up against the monster of the world, Russia. The men, the boys and the girls, they are doing everything to preserve their country. What are we doing as Zimbabweans in the face of all this? What is happening? You want to express your anger about the Al Jazeera. What about the villagers who are being moved from their places because Chinese wants to mine? What are you saying as Zimbabweans? You see, so we don't want our angers to be erratic. Let's have one word. Like if you look back in during the time of the Liberation War in South Africa, they had to say apartheid must go. And that was the language, right? At the current moment, what is our theme? Should we be Twitter warriors? Should we be social media warriors? And you see, the regime, they understand all these things. And they've mastered the art of postponing what you are entitled to as Zimbabweans. Because if Mnangagwa is going to die on the throne or is going to be removed 2 days and he dies, don't say you have defeated Mnangagwa. Nature has done its course. Right. So to wrap up, I think I've spoken enough. Mine is just an awakening call. I understand the questions is, guys, should we have this guy leave before the elections and so forth? My response is, they are not supposed to be there in the first place as we do these conversations. But I just want to inculcate that spirit of saying, guys, wherever you are, do you still have that spirit of belonging to ZANU-PF, to Zimbabwe? My apology. I know a lot of you are in diaspora, but do you still associate yourself with Zimbabwe? If you are going to turn it to be a gogo, to be a sekuru, what will you answer your grandchild if some serious questions are posed to you? What were you doing when gold was being stolen? What were you doing when villagers, a whole village, is removed simply for a foreigner, a Chinese guy, to come and mine in your country? We want those men of yesteryear who stood up against oppression. We want yesteryear women who had to support the cause to have freedom, because freedom is an inherent right that you are born with. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Vuma, for those words. And I really liked the way you ended, because initially you had said, where are the men like Richard Morgan Trangirai? I wanted to make it clear that it was not only him. There were women like Susan Trangirai who were very strong as well, and many women who were in the struggle. I think the struggle should not be subcontracted to one gender. We should fight as Zimbabweans, all of us, both the young and the old, everyone, whether you are this race or that race, we should all be part of this fight. But you ended very well by mentioning that the boys and girls went to the war, they fought, and we need to also do the same. Now let's go to the led voices. Professor, we'll come back to you. Let's hear from Dr. Tatenda and Comfort. Then after that, we come back to Professor. Dr. Tatenda, if you can go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to ask Comfort. Comfort, do you want to go first?
It's okay, my sister. I think you were here before me. Go right ahead. I'll follow.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time to speak. I appreciate everyone and what everyone has been saying. I've been following different spaces, and I think what I'm noticing is that everyone wants to play a role. And there are people who have the school of thought that there's only one way, and I understand their sentiment, and there are other people who think there's another way. During the time of the civil rights movement in America, we had Malcolm X and Martin Luther King running different campaigns, but they were all fighting the same person, right? Or the same enemy, not person, but the same system, right? And I think it takes all of us to fight in the best way that we know how. And to fight in like, for example, maybe you soldier or something. You tell them that, you're not coming home if you're going to be that soldier. Kana uchiziva kuti you have a business and munhu warokuita business naye kana kuti ada kutenga muZANU-PF, like, go away. Muri kutikanganisira zvinhu. So there has to be that pressure that people feel with even being a ZANU-PF. It's just hard in this world, in this country, because there's just quit. At least we can start from there in the immediate. Let's just say that. But when the independence ku stadium, murkwenda kuneitei. Murkwenda kupi. So those are things I think. I'm sorry if there are people who can speak Shona. I should probably speak in English only. I think that's really what we have to ask ourselves. That What can we do to a campaign? Let's put a WhatsApp message and tell people don't celebrate independence, for example. Don't go. Stay indoors on April 18. How about that? And then they march in an empty stadium by themselves. How do we motivate people? ZANU-PF and non-ZANU-PF. I don't think everyone is happy. I doubt it. I really, really doubt that people in ZANU-PF are happy at the moment because of what they've seen, because they've been excluded from the piece of the pie. So this is the time to garner everyone and say, listen, police, everybody, I've said this repeatedly. It's not time to be against it, because I really feel like maybe it's 80% of Zimbabweans, if not 90, who are very disappointed with what's happening. Across racial lines, across church sects, etc. Maybe Warufara and Wagape $100 recently. But what is $100? I do understand that we can feel incapacitated because you're far away. But I was in a space a few days ago, and they were saying we need pamphlets and flyers. Take $30, $100 and give to those flyers. I still believe that works. I still believe in digital text messages or whatever. Maybe one of us can start digital. Just stay away on April 18, for example. Let them go and celebrate themselves, even the God Mafia. Let the God Mafia celebrate independence because it's their country. And I know people want to eat, and I understand that. I understand that very, very fully. It's already a holiday anyway. Let's just stay indoors in Zimbabwe. Yes, people in the UK are doing something. In Zimbabwe, you can just say, you don't have to go out if you're too scared to fight, to do whatever. Just stay indoors. Let nobody go to the stadium. And they'll talk to themselves. I think that's the first stance to show that we're very disappointed. I don't know. This is my what I'm thinking. There shouldn't be people going to celebrate, even if they're going to give whatever they put people on buses. Tell people to don't go on buses. Tell the bus drivers to not drive the buses or something. Let's do that. If you're going to lose money, how much money is it? Is it $100? What is it? What is it that we can do? And then we say, okay, here's the $100. Don't go. We can start that. Just say, in 2 days' time, you don't go anyway. Just don't go. Put a tree on the road or something. I don't know. That's my contribution for now.
Thank you, Dr. Tatenda. The fight against the gold mafia requires everyone to fight in a way they know how. That's a quote from Dr. Tatenda there. Let's go to Comfort.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mahadini Moye Zimbabwe. I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to echo everything that my sister just said. And then I also wanted to go back to my brother. I don't know if he's still here, who spoke before Dr. Tatenda, and say, allow yourself to not take so much blame. You are a child who was displaced because of lack of governance. And all you have to do has been to survive. So we do the best we can, and we shall not take responsibility for strong men who have failed us, such that we are now scattered all over the world. We do the best we can, and we keep fighting, fighting in ways that we know how to. Since RIG was forced out of office, when he told us Asante Sana, I've been obsessed with studying dictators, especially dictators on the African soil. I've also been obsessed with studying the African women presidents who came into office and how they quickly exited office during their term of office. I've also been studying obsessively how they implement policy. So back to the subject of this discussion: should the Gold King resign immediately? I won't answer that yes or no, but I will tell you some of the things I've been studying and some of the notes that I've been taking. the last 10 African dictators who were toppled over, going from Tunisia, to Egypt, Hosni Mubarak, Muammar Gaddafi. We can argue over if he was a dictator or not, depending on who you're talking to. But for the sake of this conversation, I will go down the list. We have Yahya Jammeh in the Gambia. We have Idi Amin, and then we have our own RIG. People went in the streets. Kabila, Joseph Kabila. The list goes on and on. The parallel, or what caused the toppling over of these strong men, I saw two things. It was the masses hitting the streets. It was the people getting enraged enough to hit the streets. And then the other component was also how deadly those gatherings were. They were deadly, most of them. They were deadly, and they were also very lengthy, to a point where the soldiers finally carved in, and then we witnessed the overthrowing of a dictator. Why am I sharing this with the children of Zimbabwe? I want to keep saying this. As we grew up watching our parents being silenced, as we grew up even watching how the late President Robert Mugabe was taken out of power through the coup d'etat that obviously was organized by the gold mafia kingpin, we see that the people went to the streets in their masses, and that was impactful. But also the second thing we saw is also in some of the countries was the soldiers would come and kill civilians. They would come and still feel they still need to serve their master. But I see a dynamic that changes when the people continue to say, you can kill some of us, but you can not kill all of us. And I saw this in countries like even Libya. I see this in countries where, like the Gambia, until that strong man is overthrown. So I think maybe my message is, these are just things I've been observing. I wanted to share, but maybe my message I wanted to leave was also to what Dr. Tatinda said. Let's fight in ways that we all know how to. There's no one way of doing this. But then I want to leave the message of freedom is never given on a silver platter. Freedom is not going to come for free. Something's got to give. Something's got to give, and we've got to figure out what that is. For those in North America, I've been asking folks to come to my DM. There's also some other way of fighting that we're trying to work on. Chief Shoshe, I don't know if she's still here, but I talk quite a bit with Chief Shoshe. I say, if you're in North America and you want to contribute to this moment, we don't want to miss the moment. This is a moment, and I don't want us to also water it down, because we have not seen in the history of our country such an expose. We knew it was happening. It was like conspiracy theories, but it's the whole world is talking about this. And I think moments create movements, and this is a moment that I really, really don't want us to lose, especially after watching the 4th episode. So with that being said, on Zimbabwe, let's keep our focus. Whatever we're going to focus on, that's what's going to really move. Anything else that has nothing to do with what we want ultimately, for me, is to retire in Zimbabwe, is to raise my children in Zimbabwe in the way that I was raised in the 80s, 90s. That's my focus. Noise, that is not even, I'm muting all those noises. And I hope we can keep our focus and stop being distracted and disrupted. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Comfort. The powerful words as well. Action need to be taken. Those in North America, kindly inbox Sister Comfort so that you can be part of the action that is going to take place. Now we'll take 3 speakers and we'll start hearing about some of the actions that are going to be taken. Change Radio will update us on what they've planned in London after we have heard the next 3 speakers. So let's start with MKC, then we go to Masimba Media, then we go to Temba.
Ndatenda zvangu host. ini ndiri very comfortable nekutaura neshona pande ndagonawo chirungu ndokokanda. Inini ndinofunga kuti generation inofanira kunge ichimira ndiyo iyi yatiri nhasi. Yatiri nhasi iyoyi iyesu vanhu vari kutotaura ipo pano paspace panapa nevamwe vari kutaura nechemumwoyo nemisodzi yavo vari kudzimba nevamwe vasina kutomboona expose iyoyi asi vaine misodzi yekurwadziwa neupenyu. Rugare rweupenyu ihwohwo ruchinakidza kuDubai nevashoma mamafia vaya vari kunakirwa neupenyu muZimbabwe. Generation yacho ndiyo inhasi. Kana tichine pfungwa yekuti ndikaita kodzero yangu ndinourayiwa, kureva kuti hatisatane ushingi, kuurayiwa ngakuuye iri tsaona, ikodzero yangu semwana weZimbabwe kutaura kuti apa vakuru ava vakoniwa. Kana vakoniwa pavakapinda pabasa vakatora oath yavakatora yanga isiri yekuita zvemafia gang. Aiwa, yanga iri yekuti save the people of Zimbabwe and the nation of the nation of Zimbabwe and all its resources. Maresources edu isusu anofanira kunge achishanda munyika medu achibenefita tese. Munhu kunzi ari pamusoro apa zvireve kuti ndiye akufanirwa kunge ari anodya ega. Aiwa, kuiswa pamusoro apo kunzi unge uri mutariri wotidya nevamwe. Kana rodi chaiyo kudya, pandiri kutaura handisitaura kudya kwedumbu. Aiwa, rodi chaiyo kudya, mvura chaiyo kuti iwanike mumapaipi kudya, magetsi chaiwo kuti awanikewo asingadzime. Vana vedu vari kubva pamayunivhesiti ava vachishandisawo ruzivo rwavo kuti ivo matabhainzi ari pakaribhaba angaitwe sei kuti abudise moto wakawanda. Kuwana magetsi iwayo kudya, consumption, ndozvandiri kutaura. Handiti? Saka generation inofanirwa kuti irwire izvozvo tisu nhasi, kwete kumbofunga kuti vana vedu vachazo. Nokuti vana vedu vacho vatiri kufunga kuti remangwana vachazozviita. Pari zvino izvi a certain percentage yavo yakatostika neguka. Mashona. Saka iyesu takakwanisa kuresista izvozvo tisinofanirwa kutomira tichirwira ivava vana vedu vapenyu nevazukuru vachauya. Saka the theme of today, kana ndichitaura today handitaura zuva rinonzi Friday night. Aiwa, ndiri kutaura today yekunge tichirwisa zvinhu zvakafanana nehuuri munyika medu. The theme yacho is Mnangagwa in the whole ZANU-PF system must go. Pavanga vachiita izvozvo vanga vachitozviziva kuti vari kutyora mhiko dzavakatora vachipinda muofisi. Moreover, muofisi macho vanga vasingatombofanira kunge varimo. Vari kupi vamboko. Handiti? Revolution haipere ne-election. Revolution yatiri nhasi ndeyekuti tinoda a new Zimbabwe inotungamirirwa according to our constitution. Saka kana tichida nyika yakanaka inotungamirirwa nemutemo, ndiwo mutemo wacho here. Saka revolution haipere ne-election. Inonopinda munew government imomo ichinoita monitor kuti zvezve zvatakaramba zvezvezvi kana taita kupu yekubvisa vamugabe nekuti vanga vane matsotsi anga akavakomberedza. nhasi matsotsi acho haachisipo here. Ndo zvinoreva revolution. Haipere nekuti taita maelections. Aiwo inoramba ichimonita tiri kurarama zvakanaka here, chii chiri kutitadzisa kurarama zvakanaka, zvinhu zviri kufamba sei. Handiti zvinova zvinoreva kuti even kana patinenge tichitsvaga mamembers of parliament ngativei tiri vanhu vanoongorora kuti munhu watiri kuti member of parliament uyu anonokwanisa here kumira kana nyaya dzemutemo dzichinge dzakudhibhetwa muparliament. Mushona nokuti tikatora MP wokuti tinoisa muparliament asingatomboziva kana chapter imwe chete yeconstitution of Zimbabwe anonoitei, hapana chaanonoita. Nyaya yekuti izvo musi wa18 April vanhu ngavasaende kuground uku. Handiti ka ZANU-PF yagara kudhara iine tsika inova ndiyo yairi kupira machifu, machifu achipiwa dzimota, masabhuku achipiwa dzimari. Havasi kupiwa se respect, aiwa vari kupiwa se allegiance to ZANU-PF. Saka ivava vanhu ivavo ndo vanofanira kutanga kupiwa dzidziso ivavo kuti haisi kodzero yavo nezvavari kuva machifi kana kuti masabhuku kuti vange vachitinha vanhu kuti endai kunopemberera. Vanhu vanofanira kuva self motivated kuti vaende kunopemberera. Independence ndokunge vachifila that independence. Kana vasingaifile that independence kureva kuti hapana. So inini ndinoti inini the God King must resign, not immediately but now. We are tired. Enough is enough.
Thank you, MKC. And to our brother there from Rwanda, a journalist from Rwanda, we've heard your call that you are asking if those who can use English can use English. We have taken note of that. And we respect that you would like to understand the conversation as a journalist. And maybe you can share with your fellow Rwandese the issues that are happening on other parts of the continent. So thank you so much for coming. Basically, the speaker was saying revolutions don't end or just after elections. And also that the generation that is supposed to bring change is our generation, the people who are right here on this space. So thank you. Let's go to Masimba and Temba. If you can use English, then please do. If you can't, you can use vernacular. Then we'll try to have a very short translation. Then we move to the next speaker. So Masimba Media, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me out there. First of all, I'm a little bit shaking right now because this story is painful. I mean, it's scary to me personally. What I just saw in that documentary, you guys are just scary. And we are talking about this topic about should the God King resign immediately or we wait for elections. I don't know about how to even answer these two questions, because first of all, we heard in that documentary that they control the elections in Zimbabwe. Meaning that ZEC and everything, they control everything in Zimbabwe there. So if we are going to elections, that are controlled by these people, are we expecting any meaningful results there, like anything positive to come out of elections that are controlled by these people, guys? So that's one of my biggest question. If we believe that they do control the elections, like what they said in that documentary, that they control the elections in Zimbabwe, it's true that they control these elections, then I think you and I, we are left with only one option, which is to really fund the struggle and fight like what they are doing in Ukraine, those Ukrainians that are fighting for their land in Ukraine, and other wars that we see in this world. Zimbabwe is not any better. We have no option but to just fund the struggle now. Arms, guns, and whatever. People like myself, we've got nothing to lose. You can put us on the front line so that we can be the first ones to die if we have to die defending the country, guys, because this country is gone by the gangsters, by mafias, mabhinya aenda nenyika ndozviri kutoitika, and then mabhinya abatwa pachena. We are seeing this. Where is the army of Zimbabwe? Where is the CIO, the CID? They are busy spying on innocent civilians, while they are letting our resources to be looted by these good mafia people. The likes of they are busy arresting the likes of Job Scala, who are innocent civilians. Vachisiya vanhu vari kuba upfumi hwenyika vachienda. And you think these people, they are saying they control the elections and everything. So our only option is for us to defend the country, kutora gidi, kuzvitonge. Mbuya neanda kufa vachishereketa kuti tingatora sei nyika ino, shoko rimwe ravakandiudza, tora gidi uzvitoke. So thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Masimba. They're coming with a revolutionary spirit, singing a revolutionary song. Indeed. Thank you so much, my brother. And let's go to Temba. After Temba, before I come to Triple C Nap, I would like to Samuel to introduce yourself and then ask any questions that you might have. So Temba, go ahead. Then we go to Samuel.
Oh, good evening, good people. Thank you for keeping, the spirit, burning, and keep up the pressure. I know it's not easy, and especially after watching, these episodes. It shows how far, we have gone down, as a country. Not just, the information that we get, on the media, but also when we relate to actually, the dilapidation in the country, it actually shows that, the country is bleeding of its resources. There are no roads. Roads are impassable, bridges, healthcare, everything. I'm not going to say much. What I'm only going to say is the reason why Emerson Mnangagwa is still, the president supposedly of Zimbabwe, it's because he has got the soldiers. He has even, said that, boastfully that, the army, we are the army, we are the police, we control everything. It's really, him abusing, the organs of the state for his own benefit, to his own benefit. And to say the truth, if we had the chance to get the guns would be blazing in Zimbabwe right now. But it's only because these guns are in the hands of these mafias. And that's the reason why we can't do anything. But we need to do something, especially the people who are in diaspora. We need to coordinate ourselves. Remember, even with the Chimurenga, when it was fought, people were not, in the country. They had to organize themselves when they were outside and then move.
make some, noise from outside, and also kutofamba kutozopinda munyika vakanga vachiwana support from outside. We need to find out who are our friends from outside who can help us. And these people who can help us cannot help us if we are not organized. We are not coming together and mapping, a strategy to say, what do we want to do? Trikuya panapa tichitaura toita senyi todini but tikupedza nguva yakakura tichingotaura asi atina zvimwe zvatiri kunyatsoita zvinobatika kuti chii chaicho chatiri kuda kuita kuti zvinhu zviite. Tikange taziva kuti no, chatiri kuda kuita ndechakadai, ndivanani vachatitungamirira. You see, tocoordinatana zvakanaka. Kana zvanzi kuri kuitwa ma-demonstrations, let's go and demonstrate. Are we saying kuti ma-demonstrations are kuitwa muma-embassies? What are we trying to achieve besides those demonstrations? Yes, Zimbabwe cannot demonstrate, togona kura, but through those who are outside, we can make my demonstrations, and even we make it known kuti my embassies, let them be closed. My Zimbabwean embassy nga close. I action yakakura 1, 2. Ndakungo suggest zvangu. Yes, zvinorwadza tine vabereki variko kumusha kana kuti tine hama dziriko kumusha kana kuti nechi. People just say, okay, let's just stop sending money for now. Kune wese uyo achanga asiri kutaura sekutaura kwatiri kuita toda kuti ZANU iende. Ngatimirei kuvabatsira. Tongoti ngatingomirei kuvabatsira tirwisane nemuwengi. Nzara ichapinza vanhu vese mustreet nekuti diaspora zvinezvi ndo yakabata nyika. So those are some of the things that we can employ. Ndatenda zvangu.
Thank you, Temba. Temba is saying that if there was a possibility that we could get guns, right now guns would be blazing in the country. This is what Temba was saying. I'm just translating it. And he's saying also that, however, the guns are not in the hands of the people, they are in the hands of the gold mafia. That was his first submission. We are doing this for the benefit of those who can't speak our mother's tongue. Temba is saying that we should be part of every action that is going to be taken. And if we are angry to the extent that we feel deeply that even if it meant going to war, we were going to go to war, then that courage should actually be used to participate in all initiatives that are coming. Unfortunately, my brother on Triple Synap has dropped. I wanted him to answer some of his questions. But anyway, let's go ahead. Samuel, you can go ahead and ask your questions or make your submissions.
Okay, thank you, CC, Diaspora, and others listening in. I see my friend Makumborero in the listeners. Greetings to you and other freedom fighters in Zimbabwe. I'm called Samuel Becker, PNC. I'm a Rwandan journalist, a press freedom activist, and a human rights activist. So I submit from your side. I feel the pain because I watched the Gold Mafia myself, the 4 parts, and I really understand how it feels to live in a country where you don't have a say on what. And I really feel exactly what it means when the politicians abuse their power. Through experience and from my point of view as a person, I have been challenged through different capacities, which is not what I'm going to speak on now. But my view is on like the question that you posed, like the title of the space: should the Gold King resign immediately, or we wait for elections? I assume the Gold King is the president, right? If I'm right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you are correct.
Yeah, if you say should the Gold King resign immediately, I really think that's not something easy. And if you say or we wait for the elections, exactly that's where I will get it wrong, because if someone have managed to manipulate you for years, he can't fail to manipulate you for one election. So that's something very simple to deal with. So dealing with African issues, from my experience, I have learned that African problems are instilled into the geopolitics that governs the whole world. And this is where it starts from. And I really understand that it pains to not have a say on what is going on, yet you feel like it's something you have to own. And in this capacity is when someone needs to come up and speak and do anything possible to defend his or her country or her rights or his rights, and make sure at least if it have happened to him or her, but it doesn't happen to the next generation. But when you look at the Zimbabwe as a country, I see a geopolitical issue. I see some people backing up the government itself, and these people again creating problems to manipulate like the Zimbabwean, yet they benefit from the suckers. Because when you look at the ambassador that was filmed in the Gold Mafia documentary, using his diplomatic immune to carry dirty money to sell golds, and or as of now, as we discuss, at least some serious measures have been taken on the diplomatic moves of Zimbabweans and even the government itself, because using the diplomatic immune in being supported by the government itself just shows you how the diplomats of the country have